Hey guys, I hope you're all well. We had an amazing conversation with Gerrard from Gerrard Martin Dance today, all about choreography and creativity. We were cut off towards the end of the conversation. We have so much to say. There's so many things to kind of dive into, which is brilliant. And, we really spoke a lot about being a leader in a room creatively, how you manage yourself and how you manage other people around you. Hopefully we'll have Gerrard back on again at some point, and we will make sure that we kind of dive deeper into these processes, maybe look at how yoga has helped. I'm actually going to bring him back on for a second. Yay, request. Yay. Excellent. Hey, Gerrard, I hope you're good. This is how much we talk to each other. He's not on yet. I'm still talking to him. He's not here yet. Here you are. I was just telling the people that we talk so much to each other. Like, we just really like to discuss dance situations and arts in general and creativity that we ran over the whole time. Everyone joining. Welcome. We're just trying to finish off our conversation, really. It's going to be a really, really, really quick one.
12 hours later.
12 hours later. But we really we dove deep into what it's like to be, a creative artist and a creative leader, and how to keep the vibrations high in a room, how to keep communication open, how to get the best out of your artist and the best out of your work. How to, manage your own expectations. We spoke about how to practice kindness in your work. Like, all these things are really valuable things. And I think, I wonder if you can answer this for me, actually, because sometimes as creatives, we kind of hold ourselves back,
Mm-hmm.
You do it as an artist as well, but especially as a creative, because it starts with you. You are you often are the leader on this. It starts with you sometimes, depending on what arena. So, have you ever had a place? Have you ever been in a place where you're like, I'm just holding myself back now? How do I not do that? How do I get into a place where I'm actually creating, or I'm being inspired, or how do I stop? Like, putting this barrier up against me doing creative stuff?
I think, I know it sounds really obvious, but just by keep on doing,
Yeah.
even though you're full of fear, just like feel the fear and do it anyway. I think that's that book.
Yeah.
And just showing up for yourself. And then it's not going to happen it might not happen tomorrow or the day after. It might happen, you might see it coming to fruition in like 6 months. But just having that experience and being in front of those people at that time might then build strength and character later on down the road. And it's hard because when you're in it, you're just like, why am I here? I feel overwhelmed. Oh my God, this is so much emotions. Am I going to get through? And I just, one of my friends said, did it kill us? No, he did die. So that's another way of looking at it as well. Just think all the little bits of positivity.
Nice.
Each day, the whole day by day approach, hour by hour.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really cool. I think sometimes as well, people can, when it comes to artists anyway, like, financial worries can sometimes stop them from pursuing, being creative, or going for that, audition, or, allowing the process to actually be the process, as opposed to, I've got to do this. That's a more commercial industry way of thinking, in terms of, I've got to do this thing because this is the timeline, this is the amount of money, this is how much people we know we want to get to. So how do you kind of like take all those things out of your mind and just allow yourself to kind of pursue the creative side of it?
I think it's sort of that whole thing I said about prepping. Sometimes we have lists, we have a calendar, we have our budget, and just go, actually, I can't do that, but I can do this. So it's being solution-based at the right time. So maybe you can't you want 10 dancers, but this will only allow you 4. And then actually, what can I do with 4 people? I can't do with 10. And looking at probably in a different way, different perspective. You're still going to make the work in a different way. And maybe you go, actually, I'm going to do a little test pilot before I actually do the piece. That's why I've got 4 people. So redirecting how you look at that budget and that plan. Instead of just being holding tight to something. I think you want to hold tight to what it is, but knowing it's going to adapt. That
Yeah.
makes sense. And that you can
No,
consider it a
absolutely.
little.
So it's also a little bit about applying creativity to the logistics as much as it is about applying
Mm,
creativity to the
yes,
work.
I like that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and to the output. Yeah,
And
that is
even
quite
like
interesting.
marketing's like, oh, I'd love it to reach such and such people, but actually, who can I reach? Who's my network? Who's going to come? Um,
Yeah.
and finding maybe actually I can't get somebody to make my my flyer.
Yes.
Have a flower. E-flyer. So I'm gonna get some skills. I'm gonna look on a forum on Google and see how to do stuff on I don't know, iPhoto or iMovie or all these different apps you can use or in your
Mm-hmm.
phone. How can I be creative and reach people in a different way?
Mm,
So that, I think that's what this time's been really useful for, because everybody is on Zoom, everybody's doing online presentations, they're doing live Instagram. So we're reaching
right.
them in a different way and taking care
Right.
of their serving.
Right.
Really
Absolutely.
useful. So again, like you said, I like that, being creative in and logistics.
Mm,
Right.
mm. And really utilizing your tools as well.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to let you go because I've literally been talking to you for like ages,
Yeah.
and we've had such a beautiful conversation. So much food for thought. Even for like sometimes when even though you know everything, these things, someone
Mm-hmm.
says it to you, and for some reason in that specific moment it just resonates again, and you're like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
have I been doing this? Am I
Mm-hmm.
doing that? Where am I? So. But also, maybe it's how they said it, or maybe it's just the fact that you needed to hear it at that time.
Yeah.
Um,
Because I'm a
so
great
it's been
believer in looking. Sorry, great believer in looking in YouTube motivational speakers
yes. Hmm.
sometimes, and of course they'll say similar things, but it's the way they say it and how, and sometimes it's needed at that time in your life.
Yes,
We're all on this
absolutely.
roller coaster sometimes, especially in the arts. Roller coaster of doing,
Hmm.
you're making, you're creating, and then something like this happens. Pandemics that actually, what am I going to do with this time?
Yeah,
How I'm going to balance it out, keep it together
yeah,
bit by bit. So I think it's just been useful doing those motivational speaking.
yeah. And really realizing that, like, you know, everything is a journey. Everything is a season. So you may have
Mm-hmm.
seasons where, you're super creative and everything you touch is just magic. And then you may have seasons where everything you touch is disastrous, or you just can't touch anything. You're just like, I can't find any inspiration or whatever. So just being really aware of, what the
Mm-hmm.
seasons are and trying to
Yeah.
adapt to those seasons as best you can. And try not to be led by this is it. This is the balance, right? In terms of being kind to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
trying not to be led by the external thing. So I say external meaning finance. I say external
Mm-hmm.
meaning this would be really good credit. I say
Yeah.
external meaning I'll be able to reach this much people.
Yeah. Like.
Sometimes it's right.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about saying, actually, right now, it's way more important for me that I
Mm-hmm.
rest or
Yes.
I recuperate in a way or I re-inspire myself, or I just go
Mm-hmm.
to class, or I say no to this job because I know that person on that job is gonna,
Dribble me.
it's
Trigger me
just we
back.
never we never managed to make positive work, and it's never a positive experience for me, and I don't think it's worth me doing the job and getting
Mm-hmm.
the money for that. I just know for me it's a no. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And being able to say to yourself, when is it a no?
Mm-hmm.
When is it a
That's
situation
really
where you just have to
important.
yeah,
Really important. Like no, somebody said no is a complete sentence. You don't have to justify because you just know
absolutely.
instinctively, and I love that. Um,
Yeah.
but I'm
I'm not
talking
so
again.
good at that. No, it's fine, it's fine. I was about to say, hey Newbie Kissy, how are you? Nice to see you. Yeah, no, I'm not so good at saying like no.
Yeah.
But I have been trying to say, no, that's not gonna work for me. And then being
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
as much as possible. Or
And
no,
negotiating
that's
it as well. Negotiating,
yes.
um,
Yes.
but not as a detriment to yourself. If that makes sense. To
Absolutely.
empowering yourself. Not to go
Absolutely.
all right, I'm making compromise, but it's not really compromise. They have they hold the power.
Yeah.
So it's just going, actually, like you said, this doesn't work for me. Actually, instead of doing these 4 hours, can I do it 4 hours at night so then I can also do this? Or just seeing where the land lies, basically. And it's that
Yeah.
open communication then. Because the worst you can do is just not say anything, and there's and it just builds up and festers. But if you
And
start
then you,
opening, and then at least you know a no is a no, but at least you've had the conversation, and then you can
right.
go elsewhere.
Julia DW says, no is one of the hardest words to say, and it is, especially if you come from a dance
People
background
pleaser.
where,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm a people
especially when you,
pleaser as well.
absolutely, and this is the
Yeah.
thing though, when you come from a dance background and your training has been about, in certain parts of the training, has been about, okay, I need to collect this and I need to deliver it and be the tool and be the vessel for this specific piece of work.
Mm-hmm.
So your whole like mind frame is kind of around like, how do I make this work?
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. How do I make this work? How do I, keep to the task? How do I deliver? So it's
Mm-hmm.
always like outward facing a lot of the time.
Yes.
And we do forget to kind of be like, actually, I'm not going to do that because I've got a knee injury and it's going to hurt my knee. And I know I'm not going to just not do it on rehearsals. I'm not doing it in the show either.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really sorry, but that's the situation. And trying to find that, as you said, that negotiation space. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes there is that and sometimes there isn't. We just have to try and keep, stick to, we have to find that compromise about who we are and what we need in our lives and what we want and what we're doing.
What's been nice though, I have seen a little change going into different spaces in auditions that I think younger dancers have got that more ownership now. They're more vocal than I was. Because it's the whole thing of like, if I say something, they take me out of the part. Will I look like the troublemaker, or
Right.
also supporting your fellow colleagues? Because I've seen
Yeah.
that as well. I've witnessed lots of dancers grumbling in break times. Somebody brings
Yeah.
it up, and they're the ones that ousted. It's like, oh, you're the troublemaker, because everybody just goes and does a stretch or ties their shoelaces, or
Have
goes
some
to the
water.
toilet break. And it's like, hang on, guys.
Go over this piece of choreography real quick.
Sure.
No, it's true. And Julia and Newbie Kitty are speaking to us, and they're saying a lot of us are people pleasers. It's true, and it is kind of part of my training. But to go to what you said now, the climate is changing a little bit. I think as compared to like Martha Graham times, we are finding a lot more compassion as we go through. For the artists and the people around us. That has really become a big part of people's practice in general. But I think the whole world is kind of going through this kind of well-being, holistic space, which is very much needed. But also just saying that it's Julia DW who's saying that, you don't want to be the one to be seen as, oh, that's the girl that refuses the work, or that's the guy that, always has something to say about, and that is that is a place of, it's not a place that a lot of people want to be in, especially when the dance industry is a dance industry and there's, it's small, there's not as many jobs as other industries at times, and there's a lot of people fighting for one role.
And it's finding that support in the place that you are. So if you can have talks with your other artists, and actually there's a problem, an issue, can we tackle it together in an open way before we maybe take it to the director and choreographer, so nobody feels ambushed or defensive. They can have a and I know it's hard because I've been in those situations. And also the other thing that's really hard is, like you said, being true to yourself, but also knowing, actually, I'm going to find my tribe. And create my own table, the whole thing about trying to fit yourself in somewhere else. And I know that's difficult because we're in this economy. It's all about small projects rather than big companies and creating your own stuff, which is great because you can be your own leader. But but I get that it's hard. But it's like, find your own tribe, find your own network and support mechanisms as well.
Absolutely. Something important about finding your own tribe, right? And I've had this personal experience where you found your own tribe and it's amazing, it's awesome, and you're creating the kind of work you want to create. Hey, Ashong. And you are, you're living your best life. But then afterwards, you're like, wait, have I done enough? You know what I mean? Like, did I do enough? Is that finished for me? Did I make the right choices? Did I not do the hard things or but sometimes it's about actually accepting that that those choices that you made were right for you at that time. In this specific time, you may have decided something else, or you may not, but you still have the opportunity to go and do those things a
Yes.
lot of the time, if you really, really wanted to, and you're going to sacrifice. But we have another comment here from Julia DW, and it says the art sector has that issue all the way across the board. Absolutely. Like you say, it's evolving to being more compassionate, but there's still a fight between the old school mentality and the new way. The new way.
I
The
find
new
that
way. Sorry.
I find that actors have a little bit more power when it comes in as a studio. It's just really interesting work with actors. I think because it's
actors and musicians.
And musicians are just like, no, I'm not doing that, or not in a bullshit way, just like, actually, can we have a break now? Actually, it's too cold in this room. And they go, okay. But for some reason, dancers were like beaten down, or like did, like a group mentality. It's like, we'll all do the same thing. We'll all do it now. We'll all jump high when you say to jump high. But I have seen from training to all the work I've done to now, it's slightly different. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I can see the change within.
Yeah, me too.
And it's hard to be that one to stick up for yourself as well. But but hopefully you can sleep for yourself at night, though. You can actually go to bed and go, actually, I made the right decision for myself.
Yeah.
And then you find your tribe, hopefully, when the next job comes up. And then what's happened with me is that people have recommended you because of your energy and your work ethic,
absolutely,
your authenticity, and you've done different things that you might not have thought you'd ever do. Because I remember doing this random job. I was teaching at a place, and I was doing adult class, and there happened to be a lady that enjoyed my classes. She was a jeweler. She's got a jewelry firm, and she wanted somebody to do a dance film with her jewelry. So I found the model, and I did a big. And it's just because she engaged with the energy, and she liked the way I basically taught, and she loves movement. So just little things that happen because of this, you're being your authentic self.
100%. And like, by saying no to these things, or being the person to stand up to whatever, or to saying no to that job, or allowing yourself time to rest, you actually build integrity, which builds more your creativity, and builds more your confidence in yourself. You know, it's a way of being kind to yourself. You're gonna do so much better, and you will build and have better opportunities, and have the right opportunities, and meet the right people, and you know, kind of allow yourself to keep blossoming if you have that integrity, if you try and be integral to yourself. We've got some more comments here. I was going to end the chat, but we're on a roll here. People are like messaging in. Let's keep it going. So V says, coming from a technical background, you'd be surprised. We come across similar, if not the same issues. I can imagine, actually, especially like in the tech world now, in terms of, you know, everything is so fast.
Yeah.
Get it out now. Get it done now. Oh my gosh, this website is done. Is off line. Get it up now. Like, everything is like now.
So much competition out there as well.
So much competition. So much competition. Like every kind of part of the industry seems to be saturated. If that makes sense. Like I somebody was talking about how like everybody now is a bedroom coder. So like it's a really saturated market. And also there's that kind of competitiveness, because if you are coding for a living, you might be using something specific for that specific company. Whereas if you are a bedroom coder, you may not know in as much detail how to use each tool to its best ability, but you may know more tools, so that will put you in a different space.
And then also knowing your USB, selling point as well. What makes you different, even though you might be in a sea of dancers, is like, well, I'm the floor boy, or I'm great with contact, or I can speak languages as well while juggling. Also, there's something unique about you, and then it's paying attention to that as well, instead of trying to always blend. If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Stand out. You can blend, but you can stand out as well.
But also,
industry.
On the flip side of that, it's also try not to do too many things to stand out. If that makes sense. Excuse me. If that makes sense, like not trying to, just too much pushing, too much. You know, when someone just is over trier and it makes you tired. to watch
Just listening
them.
to them, watch them, it's like,
Yeah, and that doesn't
yeah.
necessarily go against you. We do want authenticity if we're looking for artists, and
Hmm.
you know, I hope you
Hmm.
could hear me. A
Yeah.
couple more bits here. So, tap dancers, yes, tap dancers in the
Hey,
house. Let me just say, this art form, like, oh, it's
I'm
so
envious.
amazing.
I'm
It's so
envious.
amazing and so beautiful. Yeah,
I know, I
there
know.
are not enough. There are not enough tap jobs at
No.
all. There are not
'Cause
enough tap jobs. Like
I always
as
think
soon
because
as
they're more in the States because they've got more of a
yeah, I
history
think
of
that
it,
there are
musical
more in the
theatre,
States.
and even like tap companies, professional ones. I think it seems to me more over that side,
There
USA,
are, yeah,
Canada.
there are more in the States. It's more what's the word? Kind of the States are better at appreciating arts in general. But
Hmm.
I was going to say, so tap dancers are still treated like we are just noisemakers. Rude, imagine that. And sometimes not even like dancers. I hear you, you know. And the thing about, sorry, I've got hay fever, so please excuse me. The conversation is really good, and I want to keep it going. But in terms of yeah, I know how you feel. Like I remember, I don't do tap anymore. Um, but if there's an opportunity to learn it, obviously I'm at the front. Like yeah, but the skill that goes into being a tap
Hmm.
dancer is immense.
Hmm.
It's just immense, and you do feel like even when you're practicing at home, sometimes you're like, I'm just making noise. It's the same thing, you know, that people feel like you're just making noise.
Hmm.
The same thing if you're a singer. So now I'm obviously more in the singing realm. So I have the same thing. Like you don't want to be, you want to give people, you know, some space, some sound space, and just kind of yeah, all the backlash that kind of comes to that, all the
Hmm.
difficulties that kind of come with that as well. You really have to put yourself in a mindset of, you know, I'm going to have to manage this,
Yes.
and how you can do that. That's if you're practicing. But in
Hmm.
terms of yeah, in the industry, it's very difficult, and
I
there's
always
not.
think, I'm thinking that only times I've seen tap is like when there's a massive show, like it comes around once in a blue moon in Sadler's Wells. That I
Right.
want to do a tap flamenco in Katak
Mm-hmm,
because it's
mm-hmm,
camp
mm-hmm.
or something like that. But that's like once every few years. And then what I've noticed, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Or on like cruise ships or something, and maybe there might be elements in musical theatre. But
Yeah.
but I remember seeing something at GDA once. I think it's her name's Annette. Is it Annette?
Yes, it isn't it? Isn't it? Yeah.
And then,
She's
yeah,
awesome.
musical dance, and she was fusing. I think it was with Alexander Sutin. They were
Yeah.
fusing together some tap and
I
contemporary,
remember
I
that
think,
piece. Yeah.
piece, and then we're doing R&D around it, and I just thought it was
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Just watching this art form because I don't get to see it much. I
Yeah.
don't know why it's
Absolutely.
not going to be called for it, or it's just interesting. There needs to be a
It's
renaissance.
beautiful. I
Yeah.
think it. I think like there are specific. I can't remember her name now, but there's a lady in America who does. Who has a tap group, and she
Mhm.
basically like taps to popular music. I
Oh,
don't know
I've
if you've seen
seen
it.
that. Yeah, yeah, I've seen.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, that like makes my heart like
yeah.
yeah, like it just really gets me going because it's so
Mm.
awesome. And
It's a big group
so
as well. It's quite a big group of ladies, isn't it?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, and I suppose it in a way people don't. Maybe that's a thing for us creatives then to try and keep finding ways to
Hmm.
incorporate it
Hmm.
because actually I think people see it as an old art form,
Yeah.
if that makes
Because
sense.
I remember doing a long time ago. I went to do this youth project in Devon, and we had to do this cabaret style show. It was based on animals. It was really random. Each section had to do with animals, and this music was really great. But one of them, we had to do this tap thing, and I'm not a tapper, and I loved it because I was working with these young people who could tap. So I was doing steps, getting my old uh, Hollywood glamour out, ideas of Hollywood
Nice.
glamour. So I used their lovely skills and we married it together. It was just really lovely because I don't
Mm,
know how it beats and all the rest of it, but I did the steps. Like, how would that work and what would that sound like? And can you make this?
mm.
So it was interesting collaborating. But that's my only little venture into the tap world. It's very, very small.
Mm.
It was just really cool.
It's such a beautiful place to be. Any kind of percussive
Mm.
spaces. It's I'm just reading from our song. He says, "So this is why I try to teach, because you have to be able to sing with your feet." Absolutely, 100%.
Mm.
It is about that, and it's
Singing with your feet. I love that.
yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? And yes, the syncopated ladies, they're called. Thank you for reminding me.
Ah.
They are so good. Like every time their video comes up, pops off my thing, I'm like, yes, let's go. I still have my tap shoes because I'm still trying to like, every now and again, I'm like, oh, let me practice something that I used to do, and then I'll try and get them out and
did a
go
video.
find something.
AQ Arts. Come on now.
Actually, to be honest though, I have been doing my last couple of jobs before I kind of sat back a little bit and focused on AQ Arts was doing folk dances. So then we looked a lot at like clogging. We looked a lot at tap. We looked a lot at what else do we look at? Mostly clogging and tap and Irish dancing, and kind of like fusing things together and or bringing things back to life. Like how do we put a tap? How do we put like a tap sequence and a clogging sequence on top of some like hip hop or popular music, which is really cool, but in a theatrical setting. So there is space for it, and I really want to do a tap and oh my gosh, I've lost the word. I really want to do a tap and stepping routine, like a piece at some point.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, that'd be pretty dope. That's pretty exciting. So I'm going to say, if anyone has any questions, please pop them in the comment box. We're talking about mental health and creativity and how you stay kind to yourself, and whether that's through being integral, whether that's through how you open the space to people, how you keep yourself open to people as creatives. The wonderful Gerrard Martin Dancers here. He creates dance theatre. He's also a movement director. And in that, he has also dabbled with poetry, which he puts into his work, and also soundscapes and singing, which he's put into his works as well, which is pretty cool. So if you have any questions, pop them down now and I'll read them out. But otherwise, we are going to soon be ending this particular piece of lovely live chat. But I have one question for you really quickly while people are typing. So how do you practice kindness outside of work then? Do you actually allow yourself time outside of work? Because, arts is a culture. So it's a bit like if you hip hop or capoeira or ballet, you kind of end up living it a little bit, especially if you do more than one thing, as you said. You're just constantly like living in these spaces. Every thinking moment you have, you're kind of putting towards or taking in some sort of art or looking at things in an artistic way. So how do you separate that and then put some kindness into your actual life?
I'm just trying to think, can you actually separate? I suppose I was just thinking watching even if I watch period dramas, because for some reason I'm watching lots of fantasy adventure period dramas on Netflix, and I'm still I love that costume design. I love that bit of lighting and that bit, especially because I've been watching Marco Polo. There's loads of martial arts in there. I'm loving the form and the way, the flow and fluidity and the dynamics. So I'm still that part of me. And even just I'm doing more cooking, and that's creative in itself, but you can see tasting. So I just don't think I can, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe I can, I don't know.
No, I agree with you. I think it's actually just in you. Everything you just look at everything creatively. You'll notice, for example, like you say, cooking. You'll notice different things about how something sizzles compared to this, or what the spit's like, how the oil, all those kind of things. But those are the things that inspire you.
Yes.
So.
And even I was thinking, because I started reading again a wonderful book called Blacklisted, and it's talk about society. And being black and the labels put on us, and loads of stuff to do with that. And that's just making me conjuring up images. It's going into some of the notes I've been making about this piece I want to make in the future. Right. So it's all because I think that's before I started dance. I did English language, communications, and sociology. That's my A-level. Right. In English lit and performing arts. But so I was always interested in humans. Anyway, and all that stuff, all that jazz. So it's always people and movement is my thing. Yeah. So I'm just trying to think. That's a good question there. And what's the other? You had a second part. You had a part B.
I had a part B.
Yeah.
Did I have a part B?
Kindness.
Kindness. Yes. It's the topic of the day. So also on this week's Mental Health Awareness Week, how do you apply kindness to yourself outside of work?
Ooh. I suppose it's acknowledging where you are in the day, which can be hard. Like I said, sometimes with this roller coaster. And it was interesting when COVID-19 happened. I actually, the first part of it, even though it sounds weird to say, I was like a little bit relieved because I didn't have to be anywhere for
Yeah,
the
me
first time
too.
in ages. I didn't have to get up and plan a class, didn't have to worry about funding and applications and stuff. It just had a moment of settling,
Yeah,
which I was
that was a
just,
beautiful
oh,
thing.
this is interesting. And I'm such an impatient person sometimes, and I'm a bit about, go, 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 go. So that was a nice acknowledging, actually, this is a time for reflection. I can do more training for myself at home. I can do whatever, whatever that is. Or I could do nothing. It's nice to have that choice. It's different now. I know things have changed and people have got different stresses economically as well, especially we don't know what shape the sector's going to look like in the next few years.
Yeah.
So I get
Cool.
stress and as well. But it's that acknowledging, I think, acknowledging where you are at, in any given moment. Like, am I feeling a bit too stressed? Why is that? What's triggering me? Or actually, I need to sleep, which is
Yeah.
hard sometimes.
Yeah,
I need
absolutely.
to sleep. I need to have take that hot bath with candles. Or I need to eat that yummy piece of chocolate, and it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Or I need to maybe talk to somebody, reach out and ring somebody just to check in. Or they
Yeah, absolutely.
you, just laugh about nonsense, watching comedy
Yeah.
programs. Yeah, I think it's those moments, connection.
Spending time with people that you love and
Yeah.
giving them your full attention and not being like, oh yeah, oh, funding forms, yeah, okay, I need to do that funding form, or I need to do this bit of, I need to plan that bit of, and then what's that 8 going to look like? Doing that is really important. I think another thing as artists, creatives, in terms of being kind to yourself is sometimes you think to yourself, oh, I'm going to have, in terms of expectations, oh, I thought by where I am now today, is in my age, I would already be on my second block of flats. I would have already bought. I mean, this is like exaggerating, but I would, you have these kind of ideas of what you think is gonna. Hey, Alexa, one of our youth company members are on having a listen, which is great. And one of my ex-students here. Hi, Yasmin. So yeah, sometimes you have these kind of like life expectations which don't necessarily match up to your creative expectations or your creative work, and balancing that sometimes is quite difficult. And you really have to allow yourself to be kind in that space. As artists, we don't always do the roadmap for human life, which tends to be, the traditional roadmap for human life, which is, school, college, university, job, partner, partner, marriage, kids, bought the house,
none of that,
the pension, grandkids, holidays every year in Canary Islands, all of that stuff. So sometimes your roadmap, most times, even if you're not an artist, to be fair, but your roadmap is much more, contort and interesting, and got more interesting aesthetics than, I wouldn't say interesting aesthetics, but got different aesthetics to that linear, old school roadmap.
And for some people, like you said, some people it really works, and other people feels like you're being confined into this box.
Right.
And you have to reach this goals. Because I remember I nearly had a meltdown before 30, a long time ago when I was turning 30. I was like,
30 is the age.
Oh my God.
Between 30 and 30, between 28 and 30, it's, my friend used to call it what? At one point she said to me, oh, Ange, I'm having a quarter life crisis. And so I was like, huh?
What?
But no, I understand what you're saying. You get to that point in your life where you have that kind of strange space. Talk to me about that.
It was just really, I remember I was being in the dance company, and that was great. And then I felt like, oh, I haven't got the house, and I haven't got this, and I haven't got this, and I haven't got the partner, and I just felt this pressure like this, overwhelming. The actual day was great. It was like a couple of days before, the actual birthday was amazing. I was like, wait, it's fine. It's like you're living your life, you're doing well, chill out. And I've noticed 21, 30, and now I can't believe I'm still moving and dancing, because when I was training, it was like you had to stop round about that time. But now I'm like, going to be 45 in June the 4th. Any presents, flowers,
What a
chocolate?
way you
That's
look
it.
good.
So I can't believe I'm still, the expectation before was like, oh, I'm going to stop, I'm going to do something else. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, why? If you can still do it and you still have enjoyment, it's like, why do it? But, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think also it's about remembering. I call it the artist blues, but everyone gets it in different
Mm-hmm.
forms. But I think you do get a point of artist blues where you're like, I'm not meeting the expectations that I had,
Yeah.
or I'm not. Um, Most of the time, I'm not meeting the expectations that I had of myself.
Yeah. Mine's
Um,
achieving. It's like, I need to do more. Or,
yeah, or I don't know what to do next.
yes, that's what I mean.
Oh, that's a big one. And that kind of pops up as just throughout in general, I think. I think it pops up throughout life, which is why a lot of these TV programs are made about, everyday life and people doing things they shouldn't be doing.
Especially
But
because as creatives, like maybe if you've got more of a 9 to 5 job, there's promotions. So, I'm going to be
right.
here for 2 years and hopefully I'm going to apply for that job, maybe promoted, and there's going to be that, there's going to be that. There's a
Yeah.
more of a linear pathway.
Yeah.
I know there's no jobs for life anymore, but still there's sort of some sort of path. But for creatives, it's just like, especially when you're making your own work or putting stuff out there or teaching, or it's like, where do I fit? Where should I be going? And there's that moments of not knowing.
And you've got,
sorry.
no, I was going to say, and that process of like having a new job so like consistently. So for example, even if like you have a job most of the time you have more than one job at a time, number one, and then you may have a job that is 1 week, and then you might have 3 jobs the next week or for the next 3 months. One job that's a year, and it's just that kind of consistent starting over.
Yeah, yeah. And also when to, because I did this recently, I was working for a lovely organisation teaching for about 3 years, and it was great money. I liked the people, really supportive department, everything, but it was just like time to go. And this was coming up for me. I kept on thinking, why is this coming up for me? And it's like, and then I
That's
actually
really hard.
went, right, I have to just do it. And they were fine, and they've left the door open. It's like, if we have workshops in the future. So it wasn't anything anybody done, or it was just a feeling that I needed to move on. And that's also hard because it's the financial stuff element as well, about precarious nature of being an artist.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not that it was just I was there for the money, but that was a help. That was lovely.
I've had that before. I've had
what you've done.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had that before. I've had it where like I tried to leave this company a few times and I couldn't let go of it. And obviously as you said, they leave the door open. And then when I finally made the decision of I have to go, and I actually said it out loud on the phone, I put the phone down, and I literally was like, literally it was like I mourned that kind of, absolutely.
Yeah.
But also artists as well, you kind of get that when you're changing roles within the industry. So for example, if you were only a dancer for one time, a period of time, and then you're like, actually I don't feel right in this space anymore for whatever reason, I actually had another space for me to be in. Sometimes when you have to make the decision of that, you have to mourn where that space of I was an artist, or I was a choreographer, or I was a teacher, and I was really passionate about that. And now I'm like, I've got a new life that I have to figure out what on earth this is and how to make that work. And that's quite interesting as an artist as well.
I totally agree.
Just the constant rebirth.
Because just like I just realised I wasn't getting as many calls for auditions because I'm older. And then going, actually, I do still want to perform. So I started to make work with me in it, even though I much prefer making work with. So I'm the choreographer and then there's dancers.
Same.
So I can see the whole picture. But it's interesting that transition. It's nice to perform your own work, but there's also an added pressure of popping in. That's why I love working with a dramaturg or an outside eye. But it was a weird space, and it still is sort of going, actually, I'm not 23 anymore or whatever. I'm not 30 or...
my body's changed.
My body's changed. And it's brought some amazing things, but also I still have those remnant days of the feeling like, am I not good enough, or I'm those little doubts in your head because of how the industry can be to dancers. I think it's the
And
whole
you,
thing of like, I want to choose when I don't want to do it anymore rather than being told. If that,
yeah,
and then it's the
yeah, yeah,
ego
yeah,
thing as well. Ego kind of
absolutely.
thing. Yeah.
But I think there's a number of companies that have started that really like popular companies now, including DV8, that have started
Mm,
because the choreographer wasn't necessarily getting the work that they wanted to. I think it
yeah.
was DV8,
Yeah.
might not be, but the choreographer wasn't necessarily getting the work that they wanted to get.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like, you know what, I'm going to go make work. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people have done that. I'm going to go make work, and I'm going to make work that I can do the movement I want to make,
Mm-hmm.
that suits my body,
Mm-hmm.
talk about the issues I want to talk about, and have the opportunity to dance in it or not.
Exactly.
And be able to actually make the choice of actually this for whatever reason that I think is valid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't dance, or for whatever reason that I think is valid, I do dance, or I do this much, or
Yes.
that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But Gerrard, this has been a fabulous conversation. I'm sure I've missed like 19 meetings now. I'm joking. But it's been beautiful. It's been a beautiful conversation. It always is. And I've almost felt like it's just been a bunch of us friends kind of sitting around having a
Listening
chat.
in, leaning in.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll have to do this again at some point. But listen, stay well.
And you.
In every way, practice kindness to yourself. Mental health does matter. If anybody wants to do some workout or artistic dances, like we have Afrobeats, I'm teaching Smile and Wine tonight, which is a dance or fitness class. And we have like a heels class, everything online, Afrobeats, hip hop. If you want to do any of that, the link is in our bio. Just click on it and it will take you through to our website with all the information. Otherwise, we'll see you soon. Have a fabulous day. Thank you so much,
Thank you so
Gerrard.
much, Andrea.
Always a pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.